Have you ever wondered how some painters are able to create such stunning and realistic paint jobs? Most people are gonna tell you it's all about study and practice. But what if there's more to it? What if you don't feel like studying? Well, today I'm gonna show you how I created a step-by-step guide to paint Space Marine Terminators so you don't have to use your precious brain energy. And following this simple guide will boost the look of your minis just like steroids did for this abnormally buffed cat. Meow. The cool thing about this technique I'm showing you in this video is that it's so simple that you can do it at any level. It's up to you how far you take this. But first, we need to understand what these painters do other than practicing and studying. In these 13 years that I restarted doing Warhammer, I realized there are two main things that are pillars for a good-looking miniature. While I'll talk about this, let me get this model ready for painting. In step 1, I wanted my Dark Angel to be more recognizable, so I stole some bits from an old Deathwing Terminator kit. Which you see, if you look at it now, it's kind of funny. The first pillar is what makes clearly identifiable every single part of the model, defining it and separating it from the other ones. This pillar makes every miniature pleasant to the eye and make it appear clear and well-defined. And let me explain why this is so important with a little story. Once upon a time in the bustling town of Miniature Land, Warhammer Land, whatever, okay? Can't come up with a good name. There lived a group of passionate miniature painters. These talented artists were known far and wide for their remarkable skills. They had a friendly rivalry. When it came down to the prestigious competition known as Golden Lemon. Every year, the Golden Lemon attracted painters from all corners, eager to showcase their best work. And our story revolves around two painters, Bob and Adelaide. But first, let's proceed with step 2, which is applying our first color, our base coat. I'm using AK Interactive paints, but I will try to find Citadel equivalents and put them down in the description, so check that. You can either apply it with an airbrush or a brush. You don't have to be really careful in this step. I'm just using a brush. But let's continue our story, shall we? Adelaide was an exceptionally skilled painter, known for her intricate designs and master brushwork. However, her miniatures often left the judge and outlookers scratching their heads. I mean, the details were there, but they were buried in a sea of colors and patterns and whoa, overwhelming. On the other hand, there was Bob. He had a unique approach to his miniature. His miniatures had crisp lines and well-defined features. When people looked at his creation, they would instantly recognize every part of the model. The eyes, the armor, the weapons, everything had its place, clearly separated and easy to appreciate. The day of the competition arrived and both Bob and Adelaide entered their prize miniatures into the competition. Moving on to step 3, I then applied the second layer on 99.9% of the armor. Here I use a pointed brush to carefully apply the paint. But why? Tell you in a sec, son. But let me finish my thrilling story first. As the judges examined Adelaide's intricate but somewhat confusing work, they admired it for its craftsmanship but struggled to understand its story. It was like deciphering an ancient manuscript, which you don't really want to do when you're looking at a miniature. Then came Bob's miniatures. It was a breath of fresh air. The judges marveled at how easy it was to appreciate his detail. Each part of the model was clear and a joy to behold. In the end, it was Bob who took home the trophy. The judges praised him for his mastery in readability and how he made every part of the miniature stand out. Adelaide, while undeniably talented, learned a valuable lesson that day. In the world of miniature painting, being clear and readable can be just as important as painting intricate details, maybe even more important. And so the tale of Bob and Adelaide became legendary, reminding painters for all generations to come that the first pillar of our good miniature is indeed readability. This is the first pillar. It's what Golden Demon judges strive for when they look for their winning entry. And this story doesn't really hint at two real-life painters. No way. No way that Adelaide would be me, right? I'm super precise. The way you achieve this is by separating and dividing every part of the model with dark lining or recessed shading. In this case, I try to be very precise in the application of this first layer because doing it this way, instead of black lining later on, will sustain a clean look from the start, which is important because we want to avoid that ugly phase as much as we possibly can. Because most of the time, it's this phase's fault if we stop and get stuck on our project. Also remember that you should rarely or even never reset shading with pure black. Instead, using a dark version of the color you are reset shading for. I just saw my analytics the other day and I noticed that 70% of you is not subscribed to the channel. It would mean a lot for me if you did. It's free and you can always change your mind if I cringe you too much or if I piss you off anyway. So, this is where we are so far. But that's not all. The second pillar is what really turns the table around. It gives realism and brings to life your models. Now I will start to build up the layers. I will mix 2 drops of my base coat with a drop of decomposed flesh. I want my paint to cover pretty much fully in the first application. And here watch and listen carefully because this is the pivotal part of the step-by-step. Let me tell you why using another story that has no links whatsoever with reality. This second story starts with 2 friends, Max and Dylan, who are known for their dedication to miniature painting. Max excelled in precise detail, creating intricate masterpieces, while Don was known for breathing life into his miniature, figuratively speaking. One day they decided to have a friendly competition using the same knight miniature. Max would painstakingly paint every detail, but his knight looked a little bit flat. Dolan, however, using a very powerful technique, made the armor gleam and muscles seem lifelike. His knight felt like he was actually ready for battle. When they showed their work to their fellow miniature painters, Don's approach stole the show. His volumetric highlights that turned a mere miniature into a living, breathing character, demonstrating the power of depth and dimension in miniature painting. Max, initially hesitant, finally recognized the value of using this technique. This tale of Max and Dolan showcased that in miniature painting it's not just about painting intricate details, but also about bringing life to your creation. So you guessed it, the second pillar is volumetric highlight. It's hard to do because it entails knowing a lot of other things connected to it. And this is why I wanted to create a step-by-step, ideally for different models, for different types of models. In the long run, you'll interject and make yours this knowledge and make it easy for you to bring life to your miniature without knowing all that bullcrap. And if this video resonates well with you, I'm gonna do it for other armies, other miniatures. The shapes present in this Terminator are mostly cylinder plus sphere for shoulder pads. This is very important. Cylinder for the legs and torso. And finally, for the flat areas of the armor, those are pretty much cubes. I could really go into depth with this, but I don't want to be boring. But if you want to see every single brushstroke of the process I recorded, you can find it on my Patreon. Just check the links in the description. This topic is pretty complex, but it really makes a big difference. That's why I wanted to make a step-by-step guide so everybody can follow along and paint better miniatures. Step 4 is blending the 2 layers together, slightly feathering with the same color first and then with the other ones if you need to. From here you can build up as many layers as you are comfortable with, and when you feel like you are done, you can go in and add some hedge highlights here and there. On this Terminator I pushed quite a lot, but not as much as I possibly can because I was painting this for a video, but you should be fine with a couple of layers and some hedge highlights. To be honest, if you're a beginner, you're good with just 1 layer. So now you know the general spots where to place these highlights, but you still have one big problem. And if you don't solve this problem, you won't be able to apply 100% the things that I taught you in this video. Luckily for you, there is a video that solves this problem. If you want to step up your game and take advantage of what I said here now, just click on this video and learn how to blend easily. See you there.